So just so you guys know, we're recording,
Mm.
and I'll set my timer up while we wait and see if anybody else joins us. How's everybody doing?
Pretty good, not bad. Things are a
Yeah,
little wild around here, but that's life, I guess, the new normal. How you doing,
yeah,
Sarah?
Yeah. Yeah, similar, just kind of the craziness of normal life. I'm like, oh, I have 2 hours to do something. And then I'm like, oh, the 2 hours is here now.
yeah. I can relate to that. I get like the when I have time to do something, I get the decision
Mm,
like panic, like, oh, what can I do? I have this time and I could do that when the kids are here, but so maybe I should do something else, but I don't even know, where you're just like, oh, I definitely do that. And then I don't get anything done because I get overwhelmed. Uh, what time is it? What do we got? Is it 8 o'clock? Yes. Okay. Let's do it. All right. Today we're talking about imperfection. So I know I myself am a struggling perfectionist, and I know a lot of us are. And so I wanted that to be our topic to think about as we do our 5 minutes today. Um, as we move into this program, you're going to be doing a lot of things that even if you have a good or have a previous relationship with exercise, some of these movements are a little more nuanced. Some of them you're thinking about a lot of things all at once. It can be frustrating, it can be confusing, and especially when you're learning new things, it's just not going to be perfect the first time around. And so I wanted to take that moment and just let us all think about that today and know that as we move through this, there's going to be moments where you're like, I don't think I'm doing this right. And that's okay. It's okay to sit in that imperfection, to keep trying, ask questions. And you can always ask me questions, and just continue to be curious about the process, and know that this entire movement journey is lifelong, right? You're always going to be learning new things about your body. There's always going to be new things that your body kind of presents to you, and moving and creating a relationship with it and asking questions of it, learning new things as you move through that. It can be hard, it can be frustrating, it's easy to be impatient and just want to be able to do the thing, but learning that patience and learning and being okay just sitting in that imperfection is really hard. But it's something that we're going to practice in this program a lot. All right. So, with that being said, today we're going to be talking about posture, which I felt like was really appropriate for that feeling of imperfection, right? I think we associate posture with perfection, and we think that there is only one right posture, right? And I want to kind of challenge that a little bit today. We are going to be doing what I call a posture check, but what I want us to be reminding ourselves of during the entirety of it is that posture is something that we are not necessarily, our bodies aren't necessarily meant to be in a perfect posture at all times. And that looks very different for each person. So I'm going to be giving you some cues, some things to think about. And what I want you to do is just kind of feel what that feels like. Try to continue to ask questions. And hi, Megan. You haven't missed anything yet. So don't worry. You're good. Just continue to ask questions of your body and what feels right to you. Okay. So when we do these posture checks, the other thing to think about, I know with posture, a lot of times we think about throwing our shoulders back, being very rigid, thinking about keeping like everything upright, right? And that can cause us to really feel like we're really holding our bodies in a very tight position. And instead of that, I want us to think about ease and about allowing our bodies to support us, because they have the ability to do that. They have the strength, it's there. And the thing I always like to tell myself is allow your skeleton to hold you up. And I know that's kind of a weird thing to think about, but I think what that does is allow you to remember that your body has everything it needs to hold you up. Sometimes we need a little bit, some cueing and and a moment to just let our bodies sit in that position, and it with ease, and it should feel like our bodies are supporting us rather than we are pulling our bodies into a position that it doesn't really belong in. Okay, so giving yourself patience, remembering that imperfection is okay. We're asking questions, we're remaining curious about our bodies, and to be patient. Okay, so let's start. All you'll need to do is stand up. So stand up, find a spot, and yeah, that's it. We're gonna do a posture check. So just listen in and be patient with yourself. So first thing, we're going to start from the bottom up. You're going to look down at your feet, and you're going to point your toes forward, and you're going to line your toes up. So if you have like a line, if you're standing on a mat or a rug or something, and you're able to line them up with that, that's helpful. But you really just want those toes pointed forward. And then we're going to move up to our knees. And what I want you to think about with your knees is if you had a laser beam shooting out of the front of your knees, they would be coming, those lasers would be right over the center part of your foot. So we're not bending our knees over our toes, but I want you to think about those knees pointing straight over this, like your middle toe. Okay. Now we're going to move up to our pelvis. All right. A slight bend in the knees as well. Slight bend. Now we're moving up to our pelvis. This could be one of the more difficult sections to think about. So just, again, patience, imperfection is okay. All right. So with our pelvis, I want you to think about that space in between where you pee and where you poo. Okay. So that perineum, that's what that's called. And we are thinking about, I want you to visualize a balance beam being right between your legs, like you're straddling a balance beam, and you have your perineum sitting right on that balance beam. Okay, so that's really allowing you to face that perineum down toward the ground. All right, so you're straddling your balance beam, your perineum, that space between where you pee and where you poo, is sitting right on top of that balance beam. And what we're doing is just ever so slightly pulling it backward onto on that balance beam. So if you were like this, you're just slightly coming back, maybe like an inch, only an inch. Okay, so rather than having our hips moving forward, we are just pulling it back ever so slightly. Another way to think about it is if you had a flashlight on your perineum, you're shining it back behind your heels. Okay, in the space right behind you, right behind your heels. Remember, it's okay to not be a little frustrated right now. Be patient. We're going to be going through this again many, many times, so don't worry. All right, we're moving up to our ribs, and what I want you to do is put your hand on your ribs. Put one hand on your ribs, and we're going to think about keeping those ribs down, right? When we think about good posture, sometimes we think about throwing our shoulders back, and we end up flaring our ribs out. What I really want you to focus on is keeping those ribs down. All right. And then I want you to put your other hand on your sternum right here on your chest. And I want you to imagine stretching your sternum away from your ribs. I know that's weird, but creating space between those two hands while keeping your ribs down. Okay. And then what I want you to think about is your collarbones going straight out to the side, almost as if your collarbones were one long broom handle and they're just going straight out to the side, okay? And one way you can do that too is just facing your palms forward and to your sides. You can kind of feel what that feels like there. And you should feel like a very nice, gentle opening of the chest. Again, everything with ease here. It's okay. Our bodies are not perfect. Imperfection is natural. It is how we are made to function, to move through imperfection. Okay. Now I want you to think about the back of your neck. And I want you to think about that divot that's right in the back of your head. I want you to imagine someone has a hook hooked right into that divot, and they're pulling that hook up to the ceiling. All right. So the back, it's going to link in the back of your neck. So imagine there's a hook right here and it's being pulled up. And I want you to make sure that your chin is tucked. All right. So rather than having your chin jutting out forward, your chin is tucked in and that back of your neck is being lengthened all the way up to the ceiling. All right. So nice and tall. Take a moment to remember ease. Imagine your skeleton is holding you up almost like you're a jacket on a coat hanger. Okay. Your body is just easy hanging off of your skeleton. And I want you to take a nice deep breath in that position and let it out. And then relax and go back into your regular stance. Good. And take a moment to just recognize when you went back into that regular stance, you probably felt quite a few things shift, right? Maybe you rounded forward a little bit. Maybe your pelvis moved a little. And I just want to emphasize again that our bodies are not made to be in a perfect posture all the time, right? I think we are made to think that when we're sitting at our desk or when we're doing things every day, if we're not in this perfect posture, then we are not doing things correctly and we're not in that posture that's going to help our body. And honestly, our body is meant to move through dysfunction. Our body is meant to help us move through things that that we need to do throughout the day. Like I know today I picked my baby up when I was on the ground. I was able to pick him up and kind of do this really weird, crazy position. And I'm able to do that without being injured because my body is able to move through dysfunction. And so what we're doing here is giving our bodies the resources it needs to move through dysfunction, to move through those periods of time when we aren't in that neutral stance, which is probably 99% of the time, right? So remember that. Remember, imperfection is part of who we are and how our body is meant to move, right? We're meant to move through imperfection. We're meant to move through dysfunction, and it's okay. And to be easy on our body. Any type of posture check or correction, do it with ease, do it with grace, because your body is doing a whole lot for you to hold you up and to hold you up throughout your day. And allowing yourself to easily go into that neutral posture is just giving it a little bit of a resource that it needs in order to feel at ease. And feel free to do that throughout your day. Give yourself a moment, kind of sit in that posture. But remember, you don't have to be in it 100% of the time. All right. We're going to revisit that a lot. You guys are going to learn about your pelvis and your abdominals and how they're helping you in those positions. But for tonight, we're all done. Tomorrow, I'll see you at 10 a.m. or on the recording. And yeah, good job, everybody. Don't worry, it's going to get harder, I promise.
Bye.
Bye.